Tonight I want to talk to you about something that stops more people from manifesting than anything else. It's not lack of desire, it's not lack of understanding, it's not even lack of technique. It's the inability to feel safe in the unknown. Most people need to see the path before they'll walk it. They need to know how before they'll claim the end. They need certainty before they'll have faith. And because they demand certainty in the invisible, they never manifest the visible. Because here's the truth they don't want to hear. The entire journey from assumption to manifestation takes place in the unknown. You don't know when it will happen. You don't know how it will happen. You don't know through what means it will arrive. You're standing in your assumption, claiming your desire is already yours, while the three-dimensional world shows you nothing. No evidence, no proof, no sign that anything is changing. This is the unknown, and you must learn to feel safe here. Not comfortable, not necessarily confident, but safe, secure, at peace, because faith is not knowing everything will work out. Faith is feeling safe even when you don't know. And tonight, I'm going to teach you how to develop that faith, how to rest in the unknown, how to be at peace in the gap between assumption and manifestation. Because this ability to feel safe in the unknown is what separates those who manifest from those who give up right before their breakthrough. Let me start by explaining why the unknown is unavoidable. When you make an assumption, when you claim something as yours in consciousness, you're creating something that doesn't yet exist in the three-dimensional world. By definition, you're stepping into the unknown. You don't have a roadmap for how your desire will materialize, because the path hasn't been created yet. Consciousness will create the path, but only after you've committed to the destination. The bridge of incidents that will lead you from here to there doesn't exist until you assume the end. So you must assume the end first. You must claim your desire without seeing the way. You must stand in the unknown and trust that the path will appear. This terrifies most people. They want to see step one before they'll take it. They want to know step two before they'll commit to step one. They want the entire journey mapped out before they'll begin. But consciousness doesn't work that way. Consciousness creates from the end backward, not from the beginning forward. You assume the end, you dwell in it. You persist in it. And consciousness creates whatever path is necessary to bring you to that end. But during the interval between assumption and manifestation, you're in the unknown. You don't know the when. You don't know the how. You don't know the means. And you must learn to feel safe anyway. From childhood, you've been conditioned to fear the unknown. Don't go there, it's not safe. Stay where you can see. Don't take risks. Be careful. Play it safe. You learn that safety comes from knowing, from certainty, from being able to see and predict and control. And now when you try to manifest something, this conditioning kicks in. Your mind says, I can't see how this will happen. I don't know if it will work. I can't guarantee this. Therefore, it's not safe. Abort. Return to what I know. And so you abandon your assumption. You give up on your desire. You return to the familiar even if the familiar is painful, because at least it's known. But the unknown is not your enemy. It's your creative space. And when you learn to feel safe there, when you can rest in not knowing, you unlock your full manifesting power. Now let me tell you what faith really is, because most people have it backwards. Faith is not believing something will happen. Faith is not positive thinking or optimism or hope. Faith is the feeling of safety in the absence of evidence. It's being able to stand in your assumption, knowing you don't know how or when or through what means it will manifest, and feeling peaceful anyway. It's claiming your desire while the bank account is empty and feeling financially secure. It's assuming love while you're alone and feeling cherished. It's occupying the state of success while circumstances show failure and feeling calm. Faith is the inner knowing that you're safe, even when the outer world shows you nothing. This is not denial. You're not pretending you can see the path. You're not acting like you have certainty when you don't. You're simply feeling safe in your assumption, trusting that consciousness is creating the path, even though you can't see it yet. Think about it. If you could see exactly how your desire would manifest, you wouldn't need faith. You'd just follow the visible steps. Faith is only required when you can't see, when you don't know, when you're in the unknown. And the depth of your faith is measured by how safe you feel in that unknown. Here's how you know if you have true faith. When someone asks, "How is this going to happen?" and you can honestly say, "I don't know, and I'm at peace with not knowing." When circumstances contradict your assumption and you feel calm rather than panicked. When days, weeks, or months pass with no visible movement and you're still resting in your desired state rather than anxiously checking for signs. When you can go to sleep at night without knowing when or how your desire will manifest and sleep peacefully anyway. This is faith. This is feeling safe in the unknown. Most people fail this test. The moment they don't know how, they panic. The moment they can't see the path, they abandon the journey. The moment uncertainty appears, they retreat to the known. But you're not most people. You're learning to be someone who can stand in the assumption, dwell in the unknown, and feel completely safe. So how do you develop this faith? How do you learn to feel safe when you don't know? First, understand that not knowing is part of the process, not a problem with the process. The unknown is not a sign that something's wrong. It's not evidence that your manifestation isn't working. It's not proof that you're doing it incorrectly. The unknown is the necessary space between assumption and manifestation. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You don't panic because you can't see roots forming underground. You trust the process. You know the seed is doing its work in the invisible. Your assumption is the same. It's working in the invisible. It's creating the path in the unknown. You just can't see it yet. And that's okay. That's normal. That's how it works. When you accept this, when you stop treating the unknown as a problem, you immediately feel safer in it. Second, recognize that consciousness knows the way even when you don't. Your conscious mind doesn't need to know how your desire will manifest. That's not its job. Your conscious mind's job is to assume the end and persist in that assumption. Consciousness, your deeper divine intelligence, will create the path. It knows connections you don't know. It sees opportunities you can't see. It can arrange circumstances in ways your limited mind could never predict. You don't need to know how, because consciousness knows how. Your job is to trust that intelligence, to assume the end and let consciousness handle the means. When you remember that you're not responsible for figuring out the how, you feel safer not knowing. Third, focus on the feeling of the end, not the path to the end. When you don't know how your desire will manifest, your mind wants to figure it out. It wants to plan, strategize, control. But this keeps you focused on the unknown path, which creates anxiety. Instead, shift your focus to the known end, the assumption you're occupying. You may not know how you'll be wealthy, but you know what wealth feels like. Feel that. You may not know when love will come, but you know what being loved feels like. Feel that. You may not know through what means success will arrive, but you know what success feels like. Feel that. The feeling of the end is the known within the unknown. When you anchor yourself in that feeling, you feel safe even though the path is invisible. Fourth, practice resting in uncertainty. This is a skill like any other. And like any skill, it improves with practice. Throughout your day, notice when you feel the need to know, to control, to see the path. And instead of indulging that need, practice resting in uncertainty. I don't know how this will work out, and I'm okay with that. I can't see the next step, and I'm at peace anyway. I don't have evidence yet, and I still feel safe in my assumption. Each time you practice this, you strengthen your ability to feel safe in the unknown. And as this ability grows, your manifesting power increases, because you can hold your assumption longer. You can persist through longer intervals. You can remain faithful, even when nothing visible is happening. There's a phrase in Scripture, the peace that passes understanding. This is exactly what I'm teaching you. It's a peace that doesn't make logical sense. A peace that exists even when your mind doesn't understand how things will work out. A peace that surpasses your need to know. This is the peace of faith. the peace of feeling safe in the unknown. When you have this peace, people will ask you, "Aren't you worried? Don't you need to know how this will happen?" And you'll genuinely be able to say, "No, I'm at peace. I don't know how, but I know it's done." They won't understand, because they're still trying to find safety in knowing, in certainty, in visible evidence. But you found something deeper. Safety in your assumption itself, safety in consciousness, safety in the invisible made real. This is faith, and it's the most powerful state you can occupy. Let me address the specific challenge of the gap, that period of time between when you assume something and when it manifests physically. This gap is where most people lose faith, because they're standing in the unknown, and they don't feel safe. Days pass, weeks pass, sometimes months, and nothing visible changes. Their mind screams, "See, it's not working. You were wrong. Give up. Go back to what you know." But here's what's actually happening in that gap. Consciousness is rearranging circumstances, creating connections, preparing events, building the bridge of incidents that will lead to your manifestation. All of this is happening in the invisible, in the unknown, where you can't see it. The gap is not empty. The gap is not inactive. The gap is full of creative activity that you simply can't perceive yet. Think of a woman who's pregnant but doesn't know it yet. For weeks, massive changes are happening in her body. Cells dividing, organs forming, an entire human being created. But she can't see any of it. There's no visible evidence. But something profound is happening in the invisible. Your manifestation is the same. During the gap, your assumption is gestating. Consciousness is creating. The bridge is being built. You just can't see it yet. And you must feel safe anyway. You must rest in the knowing that the gap is not emptiness. It's creative pregnancy. Something is growing. Something is coming. Something is being formed in the invisible that will soon be visible. When you can feel safe in this gap, you have mastered faith. Tonight, I want you to practice feeling safe in the unknown. Choose your most important desire, the one you're assuming is already yours, and then acknowledge, "I don't know when this will manifest. I don't know how it will happen. I don't know through what means it will arrive." Say it out loud. Admit the unknown. And then, instead of letting that create anxiety, let it create peace. I don't know, and I'm safe anyway. I don't know, and I trust consciousness. I don't know, and I'm at peace. Feel that safety. Feel that peace. Feel that trust. This is faith. This is what you're cultivating. Before you sleep tonight, rest in your assumption while simultaneously resting in not knowing the details. I am wealthy and I don't know how the money will come. I am loved and I don't know when they'll appear. I am successful and I don't know what path will lead there. And feel safe in both statements at the same time. The assumption is your truth. The unknown is your creative space. And you are safe in both. Let me end with this promise. When you learn to feel safe in the unknown, when you can rest in your assumption without needing to see the path, you become unstoppable, because you're no longer dependent on visible evidence. You're no longer shaken by delays. You're no longer derailed by uncertainty. You found a deeper security, the security of knowing that consciousness creates reality, and your assumption is already creating the path, even though you can't see it yet. This is true faith. This is real power. This is how you manifest anything. Not by knowing everything, but by feeling safe, while knowing nothing except your assumption. The unknown is not your enemy. It's the womb of creation. It's where miracles are born. It's where consciousness does its most powerful work. Learn to feel safe there. Learn to rest there. Learn to trust there. And watch as the unknown becomes the known, as the invisible becomes visible, as your assumption hardens into undeniable fact. You are safe in the unknown. You always have been. Thank you, and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires.